Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Apocalypse Movies and our final episode of the Fandalorian Club for Mandalorian Season 3. Not ever, Brian. Not ever. we have quite a bit of these to go in the future of this show. But we are wrapping up Mandalorian Season 3. We have quite a bit to talk about tonight because this finale was jam-packed with a lot of stuff. It's left us with a lot of things to talk about. And we have two special guests to join us here doing that. We have Star Wars Explained, Alex and Mollie Damon, who will be joining us here in just a few minutes. Brian, how you doing today, man? It's Thursday, not Wednesday. It's Thursday. Week's almost over. How you doing?
Today's been horrible. Just flat out, absolutely horrible.
That's a great way to start this show. You know what? I appreciate you every time we do a show together. It seems like you just have a horrible day, like all the time.
No, that's not true. Today has been genuinely a really crappy day, like more than any other.
I mean, Monday the kids broke the table. Today something happened.
I will take 100 broken tables compared to what I've had to deal with today.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Plus, it's not my table, so I don't care at the end of the day. It's just in my classroom. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm good. You know, it's Thursday. It was a quite busy day at work. Got a lot of stuff done.
The A's are finally leaving Oakland.
A's are finally leaving Oakland.
I'm so sad.
Super excited about it. You know, I'm a diehard A's fan, but they needed to leave Oakland 3 years ago.
That was the team I grew up with.
Me too.
Like,
yeah.
No, but
I'm gonna miss going to games all the time. I'm gonna miss, but
I mean, so where my grandma lives, she has a 3-story house, and so you could see on the very top floor of the stadium. And so we were just growing up, just watch fireworks on fireworks night, and
the city doesn't deserve them, but that's a whole other conversation.
Welcome to
also,
sports.
It's also a good day because Kings are about to whoop Warriors' butt. Can't wait for that. Go Kings!
Probably.
But look, we're here for Star Wars. We are here for Star Wars. Episode 8 of Season 3. Super excited to talk about this episode. So much stuff happened in it. As Andy says, 3-story house, those exist. They do exist, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
It's an old house.
At least here in California, they do.
1950.
Yeah. But let's go and get to it before we lose any more time here. Let's go and bring them on. They are Star Wars Explained and friends of us. We are lucky to call them friends. We have Alex and Mollie Damon. Friends of ours, whatever, same thing. Hello, guys. Hello.
Friends of us.
Getting a little familiar. A little too familiar for my taste.
We missed you.
A little too friendly over here.
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Today was just a terrible day. Just terrible.
It is.
Yeah.
You know, it fits the theme when I do these shows with some people that I regularly do these shows with. It's always, there's something always seems to be happening. So.
No, I had a great day.
Would you like me to go through the list? The very first thing I did today was reverse my car, and the window sticking out smacked a pole.
Well, that's your fault.
That was no. It's my new stupid neighbor that parks too close. So that was number one. I'm not even.
No. Yeah, we don't need to get into the whole list here. We don't need to get into the whole.
What's their name and address?
We will track them down and find them.
Give you the address, not a name.
Look, we usually when we get a guest on, we ask them kind of how they're feeling about the season and whatnot. It's a little different today because the season is officially over. So I'm sure that we'll get into conversation about our feelings overall about season 3 and how we kind of feel about the Mandalorian going forward. So I'll just quickly off the top here ask everyone how they felt about the finale until we get into some details. Alex, I'll let you start. What was your kind of immediate reaction to the finale?
Mixed. My immediate reaction, like watching through it, there was a ton of stuff that I really liked. Lots of cool shots, great action, good moments. But I think my reaction to the season itself as a whole was more mixed, and it felt a little directionless to me. And some of the decisions that were made in the finale, I was just like, they didn't quite make sense to me. But I still liked the episode, still liked the season.
I think I'm very much in the same boat. It's been interesting seeing Star Wars like social media over the last day react to the finale and the season overall, and some like real thoughts from some people come out about how they felt about it. But I very much am in the same boat as you. What about you, Mollie?
I struggled a little bit with the finale, but after talking through our feelings for a few days now, like I like it for what it is.
I like that you said a few days. It's been 24 hours.
It feels like it's
It
been
was so unsatisfactory that it's been days.
also, just quickly, I forgot that I could do this because I'm signed in. I can pull this stuff up.
You sure can. You have access.
Damn
Thank
it.
Thank you, Chazertron, for referring to me in my full titles. I appreciate that.
Queen of the game. You are the queen. I do.
See?
approve.
I
Chaos
said that
of
on our
cavity.
stream, and Molly was like, "Oh no," and then Chase confirmed it. So
Like I said, if Chase
No.
says it, it's true. Yeah, I don't know. I fell victim, much like a lot of other people, to just like way overthinking this season and like the messages behind things and
Yeah.
the armor specifically. I just did a lot of overthinking with a lot of stuff in this season, and the finale was just flat out fun, and it was just like a super happy ending to this season, which I wasn't expecting, but I should be grateful for. It was so much fun, and I'm really happy at the point that we reached because it set us up for greatness going forward.
If there's one thing coming out of this season that a statement I have to make, it's a huge apology to the armor. I'm sure we'll get into it, but I owe a massive apology to that woman. So
Yeah.
it's
Is there
definitely
any
an
part
interesting
of you that
conversation.
still doesn't trust her? Because I still slightly don't trust her.
There's a slight like minimal, but no, I'm pretty much on board with her doing her thing now. I think she won me over.
the religious trauma side of me still has issues with her, but for the sake of the show, what they're saying in the show, I'm like, she's cool. Like,
yeah.
I just don't like that she just seemingly makes up rules, says them out loud in a very confident way, and then everyone's just like, yep, that's the rule.
I'm trying to think of like a similar character in a different franchise that is just the arbiter of like, I'm here to tell you, the audience, what this culture is.
I guess that would be Yoda.
Maybe. I'm trying to think of like someone in Lord of the Rings. Like if Gandalf just said, hey, this is what we wizards do, I would just be like, okay, Gandalf, yeah, I trust you. Like that's what I think the armorer is supposed to be. But because she's a cult leader, we're just trained to not trust her and what she says. So it feels a little more like she's making stuff up when I don't think she is. But that's how it kind of comes across.
Yeah.
Dumbledore's a great example, Gordon.
Brian, how about you? What'd you feel about the finale?
Trying to think. There are good cult leaders.
Depends on your definition of cult.
Yeah, I guess.
Oh yeah.
I lead a book club cult, and it's fun. So, yeah. It was. I didn't have an issue with it. I mean, I've been saying it to everyone, it's still great, but out of the level, like if you're ranking the seasons, I would just put this one at the lowest of the, like, I'm not, just because it's the lowest one doesn't mean I didn't like it. It's still above the line for me, but the line, it's just the lowest one of them.
Least favorite.
So, yeah. Least favorite of the favorites.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
I had a blast with the finale. I don't know what it was. I don't know if I.
I thought you meant the whole thing.
No, I asked you about the finale specifically.
Well, it took a while to get to me. The finale was good. I liked it. I actually liked the finale. I'm actually kind of not happy. I just flat out say it?
Sure. Spoilers for everybody watching, obviously. But go ahead.
Obviously. But I'm kind of annoyed that Gideon is dead, like right away. Like it seemed very like easy. Like he was barely in the season. Like I don't know. It just kind of like I don't know. That was probably the one thing that I was just like.
Or
Hilo,
is he dead, Brian?
Hilo has thoughts too.
I know when we were starting the stream,
I was
and
about
you
to say
guys
the
were in
same
the
thing. He walked in the background. Yeah.
I saw it and I like immediately thought Kylo, and I was like, wait, what? And then I was like, oh wait, that's Halo.
He's passed out right here. Yeah.
I figure. Halo.
I think you're spot on though, because Gideon didn't show back up in person until the last 2 episodes.
Wasn't in it for like a total of like maybe
didn't he have that kind of
25
same
minutes.
role in season 2, or was he in it
one?
more? Season 1.
one.
He was in
season,
it more in season
2. He was in episode 4, 6, 7, and 8.
Okay, he was in more. Okay.
Yeah, but season 2 he didn't show up until the end of episode 7. So he was in season 3 more, but not by much.
Yeah, I mean, I guess looking back at it, I would have liked to have seen him more. I definitely think, even though I enjoyed them, I do think that like the last 2 episodes specifically could have been 3 episodes instead of rushing a little bit. There are some moments that I would have liked to have seen extended, but I still very much enjoyed it. Gideon is, I mean, it's a bummer we didn't get more of him, but I definitely think he served his purpose, obviously, from everything that happened. But overall, I mean, I think I really enjoyed the finale. I had a really good time with it. I think I just accepted everything that was kind of happening. I have things here and there that I would have liked differently. But I'd be lying if I didn't quote unquote man cry like I put on Twitter during the whole fight with the Mandalorians and the troopers, or when Grogu was doing his thing against the guards, and there were some really cool Star Wars moments in this episode that I really, really enjoyed. So
what's the difference between man cry and not man cry?
I was going to ask.
That's what I want to know. I said that on Twitter.
Oh, did you really?
I mean, what's that look like, Jake?
I obviously can't replicate it right now. There's nothing that's going to make me man cry at the moment, but it's not very pretty to look at. But it's just letting all your emotions go, just letting it all out, because it just doesn't happen very often. At least
your
for some
lady cries are lesser. I'm sorry. I think that's the rule.
That's not what I'm saying whatsoever, but that's okay. You do you, Brian.
Lady cries just happens so frequently that they're just like, we get it.
Supply and
emotional.
demand.
Same with the gay cries.
Oh, here we go. All right, before we get down that road, a couple super chats that we got real quick. This one's from Blue Guy. Thank you so much, Blue Guy, for the sticker. Appreciate it. And Tim Sim here with the super chat. Thought this season had a shaky first half where I thought something was missing in each of the first 4 episodes, and a very strong second half where the last 2 episodes saved the season for me. I give it a 3.7 out of 5. Wow.
What an exact number.
0.7. Very interesting.
I thought more like 3.76, but it's up to you, Tim.
Semantics.
Wow. Interesting, Brian. Interesting.
Which technically, I guess, would round up to 2.8. So,
well, the last 2 episodes did so much legwork for the whole season. It just felt like, okay, now we know where this is headed.
Well, to be fair, I think season 1 was the same. Like season 1, looking back at my first reaction to The Mandalorian, I think the first episode, I was like, great ending. I'm on board. I got it. Then episode 2, I was like, hold on. What is this show? Like he just got his butt kicked by Jawas and then he fought a Mudhorn, but Grogu saved him at the end, or the baby Yoda saved him at the end, and I was like, that's cool. Episode 3 was awesome, and I was like, I get what this is. And then episodes 4, 5, and 6, I was like, what is this show? I just wasn't ready for an adventure of the week style thing. And so it took me that whole season to understand the series, and episodes 7 and 8 are what got me there. So comparing seasons 1 and 3, I'm like, they're similar to me.
Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit, but I think after we were given Andor, going back to The Mandalorian season 3, after seeing Andor, for the content creator sides of us, I think we're so excited to like dive really deep into the meaning behind everything in Mando. And it's just like, it's not that kind of show. It's a little bit more surface level and like just space cowboy and magic baby fun,
It's like there is meaning behind things, but it's not nearly as involved as I made it in some cases. It like when I look back to go back to the armor, looking back at what made me first kind of take pause with her was in the Book of Boba Fett and her appearance there, where she's like, "You are no longer a Mandalorian," and I was like, "I hate that." I was kind of mad that she was exiling Din. That's the one, I guess, that and the beginning of this season where she reiterated it for the audience who hadn't watched the Book of Boba Fett. Those were the two scenes where I was just like, I don't trust her. But she's treated as like above board the whole time.
Yeah.
She says what she means. She's not trying to trick you. And I was acting like she was trying to trick us the whole time.
I mean, come on.
Same exact feeling.
The way she just volunteered to take the people off the planet conveniently. It was
There
just
was
like
some stuff about the direction
yeah.
felt like they were trying to make you think that. And maybe they were. Maybe they were trying to make us think that. But then that just seems like a weird decision.
Yeah.
They're all sitting back and laughing at us now. That's essentially what's happening. So.
Probably why
Or I don't know. Part of me still thinks that she's sus, and I will just continue out of sheer stubbornness. I will continue to think that she is sus, and like maybe one day it'll follow through story wise. But
so
probably not.
I know we're getting too far ahead, but since we're on the topic, I do have to ask: how much do you think we're going to see them in the future? Armor, bow, Mandalore. Like, I'm sure we'll see them, but not like this season, because it clearly is setting up Din and Grogu to kind of go do their thing. More adventures, stories, New Republic. Are we even going to see them a lot more than we have in the past?
Probably not. Like, I think Mando season 4 is going to be Rangers of the New Republic revisited. Like, just it'll be that story, but with Din as the main character instead of Cara Dune or whoever was going to be the main character of that. And so, yeah, I think we might see them once or twice in the next season, but I hope that story of the Mandalorians and Mandalore, I hope it comes back around in a bigger way down the line.
I think it'll be something we revisit, but my hope is that it becomes more like season 2, where we do an adventure of the week with new or familiar characters, and it just kind of bounces around. And every week, Carson will be like, "Okay, Din and Grogu, here's what I need you to do," and they will head off to a planet, and they'll do it, and they'll come back, and maybe Sabine is there, or maybe she's not, or they'll meet a new character. Like season 2, I think was the perfect balance of adventure of the week, but also bringing in familiar characters, which sometimes didn't quite vibe with me. But I think season 2 is kind of my ideal version of the show.
Yeah, I'm excited for what that's going to do. Having Carson Teva in hopefully every episode, that'd be awesome to see. Just whether it's through voice or physical form, that ending is definitely setting up some very, very cool things. Brian, any thoughts on
God. Carson's Angels?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Brian, any thoughts on that?
On what?
Were you not paying attention?
You've talked again for a long time that I forgot.
Carson Teva, season 4, the armor, Bo. Are we going to see them anymore?
Personally, I kind of want Bo to have her own show. Like, Katie Sackhoff has been.
I would not hate that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hate that.
Give me literal just Mandalore planet show, and I'd be fine. Like, they don't even need to leave the planet. Just deal with all the crap on Mandalore. I mean, I will say this season, for me, made me love and appreciate Bo-Katan a lot more than I did before. I mean, she had some of the best like scenes in the whole entire show, especially when she's fighting. She was like whooping ass. So I just think personally, like the way they kind of left her, if we aren't going back to Mandalore, like why not?
Yeah. So someone brought this up on the Lego live stream that we were just doing, and they asked if the characters of the Mandalorian were to do their own YouTube channels and YouTube videos, what would you want to see them do?
Oh God.
And they brought up Paz and Axe doing board game reviews. And I said that Bo-Katan should do like a gardening with Bo-Katan series, because now that Mandalore is a planet in which you can garden on, like she's gonna have to explore that, and she seemed excited about it. So
How to grow gardens on your desolate planet.
yeah.
Wow, that's a very creative question. That's a YouTube channel just being waited to be made, obviously.
Yeah.
All right, let's dive a little bit more into the finale specifically. There's a lot that happens at the get-go. You know, we see the Mandalorians kind of on the run. But I want to start, just because it's my favorite part of the episode, the fight sequence. I want to hear everyone's thoughts on the fight sequence. Seeing the Mandalorians, the troopers go at it. We have the blasters. We have maneuvers happening. We have the armor with their hammers. Very curious where everyone lands on that. Brian, why don't you start us off? What did you think about the whole action sequence with the Darksaber and everything that took place?
I mean, the action's like the best part. I mean, obviously, but at least for me, the thing that always blows my mind the most is when they have the camera angles that like, it's almost like if it's like sitting like attached to the
POV.
helmet,
Yeah.
and then they're like, yeah,
it's my favorite.
And I'm like,
so good.
what in the hell? I'm like, they're clearly not doing that, but it's like, it looks so real. Like, I'm
How'd
like,
they make that person fly?
Exactly. I'm like, this is too real. Like, anytime I see those, like that gets me like pumped up because it feels like you're in the middle of it. But yeah, I mean, this may be blasphemous, but I'm kind of happy the Darksaber got destroyed. I kind of was almost a little over it at this point because it's just kind of like, yeah, well, I know. It's just kind of like, don't get me wrong, it's cool. Like the saber itself is cool, but like, it's just like at this point, you're like, oh my God, like you're still fighting over this. Like, let's move on. Like, and that kind of ended up being the point.
Yeah.
But it's so I was when it did get destroyed, I was like, oh no, the cool lightsaber. And then I was just like, okay, good. I'm kind of like glad it's done.
What it stood for needed to be taken out. Like,
yeah,
it needed to be taken off the board, I think.
It was like,
you know,
the greatest thing, but it literally kind of destroyed them in the long
multiple
run.
times.
Yeah. It ripped them apart, and it caused, you know, Axe and the rest of his crew to not follow Bo anymore because they held it to this, you know, weird thing where they were like, she couldn't get the Darksaber back, so I guess we can't follow her.
Yeah.
I'm all for the Darksaber being destroyed. Like, I always, and I just now made this connection, but I'm always for like symbols of power that divide. I'm like, yeah, let's get rid of them. And I had the same thought about Game of Thrones, because I thought it would be so cool if the White Walkers were coming down and and Khaleesi was like, we have to dismantle the Game of Thrones, this thing that everyone's been fighting over for seasons. Let's take it apart and use the swords, because they, in theory, could be Valyrian steel, to unite and destroy the White Walkers. I thought that would have been so cool.
That would.
And then the show did destroy the throne, and a dragon did it because they thought that it killed its mom. And like, it was just, it was done in a weird way. And I feel the same way about this, is that I would have loved for Bo-Katan to say, this thing that I thought I needed to lead, I actually don't need it, which she does say in the episode. But she's like, I don't need this thing, and I'm going to decide to throw it away, destroy it, whatever. I don't like that the villain just crushed it and like
I agree.
took away her active decision in the matter. And she has to say, yeah, I guess I don't need it to lead now because there's no other option. Like, that frustrated me.
I just wonder if people would have turned on her though, if she would have been the one. I mean, I think of like religious people, like you destroy this is really actually bad. You destroy it, they're gonna be like,
well, and I think maybe that's what
Bitch.
Gideon had in his mind, is like why he maybe did it, is to try to get a reaction out of her, or to possibly get the other Mandalorians to see what was happening. And well, they weren't even there at that point because they were fighting.
Mhm.
But I love, like, I don't agree with the way they destroyed it. Like, I agree with Alex. I would have much rather have seen it happen that way. But I love that Bo didn't have a reaction to it. Like, it
Yeah,
just
I do too.
happened. And she, like, in her mind, you know, it wasn't outspoken or anything. Her actions kind of just spoke for herself, as far as like, that happened. Okay, I have to move on and do something else now. Like,
That
it shows a different character.
The episode in the season did a lot that I agree with and wanted it to do. I just don't really. I think it
Yeah.
could have been executed better. Like, I mean, Din told her in the last episode, I don't care about the Darksaber.
Yeah.
I follow you because of this.
Yeah. And I wish that would have been a conversation with everyone and not just the two of them.
Yes. It's just like, yeah, one person said that,
Yeah.
but she could have made that a public thing. Like, we're done with the Darksaber. Do we all agree? And everyone's like, yes, we follow you because we like
Yeah.
you.
And Charpy in the chat said, Alex, no Mando would ever destroy it. And that was something that I brought up on last night's stream. I was like, I think we needed a third party to be the one to do this, because even though they had established, like, all right, we're not going to treat the Darksaber like we have been. It's not going to be this whole big deal where whoever wins it in combat is going to be the ruler of Mandalore. But like, they would have still kept it around and like had this like severe attachment to it. So I think someone else had to be the one to
How cool
destroy
would
it.
it have been as seen, though, if they did make the character move of Bo destroying it? That would have been really cool.
Yeah, like
after everything that happens, they win, they take Mandalore, and she decides, you know what, Mandalorians are better together, but that's not because of the Darksaber, and she throws it away or burns it or whatever.
I mean, like, I would have been.
Yeah,
exactly. I would have been fine if they did keep it. Like, all I cared about was that the Mandalorian people let go of the power it held over them.
Yeah.
And this just, like, it doesn't mean anything. And it felt consistent with Bo-Katan in episode 1 being like, oh, Din Djarin, you're so silly. There's no power in the waters that you want to go bathe in.
Yeah.
But that magic sword does have power. Like,
yeah.
I just want all of the Mandalorians to recognize that traditions are okay, but don't let them control you so much.
Yeah, I compared it to Luke throwing the lightsaber over his shoulder, and thinking back to that moment and seeing how a lot of fans, not all fans, but how a lot of fans reacted to that moment poorly. I feel like they didn't want Bo to be the one to destroy it.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what happens now if we do catch back up with them, spend some time with them. Are they really a united group, or does the Darksaber still hold a little power over them, whereas like some of them believe that Bo lost it, they're not going to follow her? It's going to be interesting to see what happens whenever we do pick back up with those characters. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting moment, but yeah, I agree with Alex. I think it would have been much better to see a different scene with that happening. Just an opinion. So,
but I agree with you as well that it happened, and she was just like, it doesn't matter. I like, again, I like the line of Mandalorians are nothing without their trinkets, and she's like, we don't need those. That's not what makes us strong. It's like, again, I liked a lot about the episode. There was some stuff that I was just
all
like,
good.
So cool.
Sticking with that scene, because Din and Grogu were also involved in that sequence. Can we talk about Grogu's power slide for a second? Unbelievable. Right after his daddy-o Mandalorian did it too. He did the power slide. Grogu's like, oh, I'm gonna pick that up. I'm gonna do a little power slide, little force push. We finally got to see him like in some crazy good action. He's picking up on things very quickly and using them to his advantage. But the power slide, the shield, the Groot shield is what I'm calling, because Groot did it in Guardians of the Galaxy. We got some really cool Grogu moments in this episode.
He full on was like, I learned this from my cool Aunt Bo
Yes.
and did the knee slide. And
Yeah,
I was like, I did a
I
little
love when he
proud
was
mom
running
clap.
across the
The
ceiling,
beams.
the
Yeah.
beams, just like pew, pew, pew.
That was
So
my
I-
drawing from last night. Literally him just laughing.
I saw
And running around.
saw that scene, but someone put parkour over the top of
That's
it.
funny.
It's really
That's
good.
good.
It's really good.
We love Grogu.
So
He can do no wrong.
cute. And
Din
you,
Grogu.
you can
Din
tell that
Grogu,
he you can tell that he learned a lot after training with Luke, and he's learned a lot about how to use the Force overall, and like you can tell that he conserved a lot of his energy so that in the very end, when he needed it the most, when he was shielding them from the flames, he didn't have to pass out afterwards. He just was like
Yeah.
a little tired, just need a
Such
little
a
sit
cool
down.
moment. Such a cool moment of him doing that. And when Din and Bo like look at each other like, yeah, this kid's doing
so
this.
good.
It's super cool.
Yeah.
Quick little callback right here because Jar puts out a really good comment I want to bring up. Did anyone else notice the parallel of Din having to fight without his trinkets as well? We get that really cool scene with him and the shields, the troopers, where R5's breaking down the shields and Din's just going at it.
He
Incredible
murdered
action
a lot of
sequence.
people this episode.
It was
A
great.
lot.
I loved it.
He
I
had
loved
to
it. It was
he had to
awesome.
come in guns a blazing and remind everyone that this is my show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved that. Like every level, it was such a video
Yeah.
game thing of like, all right,
Yeah.
beat you up, and you had nothing for me to get. But the next people, you have energy batons, and the next people, you have shields, and
Mhm.
just
Yeah,
like gathering the gear.
There was a moment where he kicked one of them over the edge and he tried to grab the gun and he missed the gun
Oh, I
as
missed
the
that. That's
trooper
cool.
as the trooper was falling over. So good callback with the whole video game thing, trying to pick up things on the way.
My favorite thing was R5 fighting the mouse droids.
Yeah.
That
he
was the
didn't really-
greatest.
He
Well,
didn't
they
really
were just
fight them. He was just like, "Whoa, I'm just doing my thing. I know
Yeah.
you guys are doing your thing, but I have jetpack rockets on my feet,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna peace out." And
I was
like, if I happen
hoping-
to knock one of you down on the way, so be it.
I was hoping we were going to see the R2 callback where he dumped the oil. And
Yeah,
then
I
lit him
thought
on
that too.
fire. I hope we were going to see that, but I'm glad we brought up R5 because Brian, if there is a droid in Star Wars that is you are R5.
Oh,
You are 100% R5. The little like
Or-
just like
yeah, I guess.
when he's looking over the edge and he's like, "Oh no!"
Just
like
Scared-
that's
just
just
an anxious droid.
the
Scared
yeah,
but
the
brave.
anxious Nerval Nancy droid.
Is
Like
that
when he
going to have
pops
to be
out-
Brian Sklepshido now?
Sure.
I'll
I'll
like
be
when he pops
R5
out of behind the rock when Din calls him like R5 and just like, pulls out.
when he
from
does
behind
like
the
the.
yeah.
yeah. I'm here, I guess, to help. Whatever. Sure.
I'll be R5 with L3's mouth. But
The
no,
mouse droids was such a dumb but perfect thing.
yes,
Like I loved that one coming up to him and the little red lights go off and then he zooms away and you're like, oh no, he's gonna go get stormtroopers.
He
And
gets his
then it just
buddies.
comes back with
He
like
just gets his
4 more
buddies.
mouse droids.
and all they do is just smack him with, just run into him.
Well, Din has killed all the other troopers that
Yeah.
are there,
Yeah.
so
No one's alive. Oh god, this it's like you. It's one of those things. It's like, what's the purpose of them? And then you see this, and you're just like, nothing. And it's just you enjoy it. Oh god.
All right. Well, we kind of covered the major things of this episode. Unless anybody else has something that we have not covered, wanted to dive a little bit more into what we could possibly be seeing in the future. I guess we could talk about the end moments with Carson Teva, Din's home with Grogu picking up frogs, and then kind of what we see beyond. And I wanted to start this off by asking, because I haven't seen the reaction, but Alex specifically, did you freak out about the zombie mask? The zombie stormtrooper mask that we saw at the very end?
Oh, with like the
With the
no,
claws?
because that wait. No, I didn't even make that connection.
where was that?
I gotta hold on.
Oh, baby!
Oh, you saw it on TikTok or something. You
No, no,
Well-
absolutely not.
I'm gonna look at it because I know the helmet you're talking about, but
Just saying. I forget the project it was called, but
the
like
Death
the zombie
Troopers?
stormtroopers.
Oh,
Um,
the the Death Troopers book.
So
Yeah,
I took that as a reused prop from the Tatooine spikes, but I might be wrong about that. I have to go look. Talk amongst yourselves.
I didn't notice any of that.
Fair enough. While Alex looks, Brian and Molly, Grogu finally got his chicken nuggets.
That too. Like there were people telling us about that in last night's stream, and I was like, "What?" Because I didn't even really pay attention to what he was eating at the bar.
The food at the end, it's like a Star Wars chicken nugget.
I just assumed he was eating like corn nuts or something that bars would have.
Look at Hilo giving you side eye. Oh, did you see it? Yeah. It was literally like,
oh, what a good boy.
He might need to go to the bathroom. I might need to go in a second here just to take
look
him
at
out.
that look. Yeah.
I don't want to burst any bubbles, but
damn it.
I think that's a reused prop from Chapter 5. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, fair enough.
But it could be zombie stormtroopers. Who knows?
It'd be a very cool tease, just like a small Easter egg, you know.
If you have to let Hilo out, just take him now and
I'll go.
Oh, you're
fine. Yeah, I did not.
Now it's POV.
That yay! I didn't notice that was chicky nuggies, but now I'm like pretty happy about it.
Brian
didn't even think about it.
Yeah, it's just
I just immediately am like, he's eating.
Yeah.
I have a question.
You found food. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
For you two, did you notice the absence of the helmet rule in the armorer's spiel with Ragnar in the end? Like when they were saying the creed out loud.
That he can't ever take his helmet off?
That was not a part of the creed anymore. That there was nothing about having to keep the helmet on. So like assuming that was on purpose going forward, I think the helmet rule is maybe optional.
I would love if that's the case. I would love if
I wonder if you're on Mandalore, you can have it off, but the second you get off Mandalore, you can't take it off.
Yeah, I mean that should have probably been part of the creed if that's true, but I'm hoping that it was like a revision that they made after everything that they've gone through, and the armorer is finally like, okay, this is a rule that no longer has to be part of this.
Yeah, I'm hoping that with working with Bo and even like Axe and the rest of that crew, maybe she's getting the armor is getting a little lenient on what she kind of expects from her covert. And now that Bo is pretty much in the lead, not to say that Bo fully makes all the decisions, but maybe it's a little bit by Bo's rules, and her rules are, hey, helmet rule is not a factor. You know, the Mandalorians I've lived with my entire life, all of us here on Mandalore, we took our helmets off. We lived our life. We didn't have our helmets on all the time. And so maybe she's picking things up from her just as Bo is picking things up from the armorer. Because I mean, we've talked about it for so long, but the helmet rule is stupid. Like it's
really
dumb. So I would love to see. Plus, I would love to see Emily swallow at one
I'm the
point
opposite,
in the
because
costume.
I want to hear her voice all the time. I like that robotic-y, like almost kind of.
You want armor ASMR?
ASM
armor? I don't know.
ASMR?
ASM
armor. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
no. I feel like she wouldn't ever take it off, though.
I want her to, though. Like,
I mean,
they made it home. They made it back to their home world. I feel like if ever there was a time for them to all celebrate and relax and live a little, it's now. Like they retook Mandalore. It's a planet that can now have plant life. It can grow things. Like it's completely different now, and I feel like they should celebrate that by like airing out those musty, gross helmets that they always have on.
Yeah,
you know it's gross in there.
Yeah, for a lot.
Maybe
of
her and Bo-Katan will take a little swim in the Waters of Mandalore.
Yeah, like if you're
We
already
need a
in
little
the
spa
waters,
day.
you can take the helmet off, because
Yeah.
then you're just gonna dunk your head and be like, "I'm
Already
redeemed."
there. I
Can you
think
just
even the
imagine her?
Mythosaur is like, y'all need to chill.
Yeah.
I'm trying to sleep.
Yeah.
Speaking of, why don't we get to the Mythosaur? Absence of Mythosaur for pretty much the entire season after seeing it in episode 2. Clearly, probably setting something up in the future, but we all expected to see it at some point. Are we okay with it not appearing as much as we hoped, or would we rather have seen it in parts?
I guess I assumed we were going to see it because we got that little tease with Bo-Katan seeing it, but I guess I would have rather we not had seen any more of it than getting just another little tease that, yep, it's down there.
Mm-hmm.
And did Grogu sense that it was down there, or was that just coincidence? I don't know. But I think we'll see it in season 4. Or if not in season 4, like in Filoni's movie at least.
That's a good
I
point.
kind of almost took it like, hey, it was real. It was there. And it's
I never
still
thought
there.
it was fake or imagined.
No, I know, but like they all kind of like doubted her.
Mm.
And then so like maybe it might have been like trying to sow a seed of doubt. And then it was like, no, it's actually there.
But do they know it's there?
They don't.
I have a feeling that only really Bo-Katan is the only one, and then the armorer like knows, but does she know? Does she believe? It's
I think
I'm
Grogu
fine.
knows it's down there.
Yeah,
That wouldn't surprise me.
yeah.
I think like that little moment, I don't think was him directly like connecting with
Yeah.
it, but I think he had maybe a little like forced inkling of like,
Mhm.
hey, there's
Something
something
down
down there that I want to be friends with. I don't know what it is, but
Well, he probably when Bo-Katan was being real obvious in episode 3, where she's like, "Did you see anything down there?" and Din was like, "No." "Did you see anything alive down there?" and he was like, "No." And Din is too, he's being Din about it and just like walked away. Grogu heard all that and was probably like, "Oh, there's something down there."
yeah. Grogu's smart. He knows.
Jake, I'm just imagining that's Gabby letting
It's
you know
not.
she's home.
It's someone across the street. Their alarm just went off. So I felt like Brian there for a moment where there were sounds happening outside my door that I
I
had to
try
mute
to hit the
myself.
mute.
Yeah.
It's Gabby coming home and being like, I want a mint chocolate chip shake from Sonic.
Oh my God. So I'm sure most people saw my Twitter the other day, but on today's Thursday, on I think it was Monday, on my way home Monday, she called me and said, "Look, I need a chocolate chip milkshake from Baskin Robbins right now." It's like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, okay,
I need
got
it.
it. And it was a perfect excuse for me give me one myself. So ended up working out.
I wish I could
anyway.
get pregnant and just eat whatever I want all the time.
We just want those severe pregnancy cravings and
Oh,
someone...
she's got them like crazy, man. It's starting to ramp up very like a lot right now. Like she's
I'm
got
just gonna start
specific
bringing
cravings.
random foods around and be like, this looks good, and then see what comes from it.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun for me because I get to eat things too, which is always nice. So
Let me know if it ever reaches the pickles and ice cream levels, because that is a craving that I've heard like a lot of people talk about, that I feel like I have that craving as a normal person, as a normal not pregnant person.
she likes them both. I don't know if she's ever tried them together. I'm definitely curious, and I'm sure she'll react differently. But if she tries it, I'll let you know for sure. I would never try that because that sounds absolutely horrid. But that's just me personally. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap up by talking a little bit towards season 4. Maybe if anybody has like a character they would love to see, some worlds that we've seen in the past that we might want to see, or just kind of how we think season 4 is going to shape out specifically. Brian, why don't you start us off and we'll go from there. What do you think season 4 is going to end up looking like whenever we do see it?
Well, first off, love that IG-11's back.
Oh yeah, Marshall. Yeah, good call. Thank you.
And I don't know. First off, was I the only one that like was like, why when they did like the zoom in circle and then it ended like that? I was like,
The editing trick. Yeah.
who
It was a
like,
little storybook strange.
Yeah.
Like I was
Yeah.
expecting Din to lift his helmet up and give us a wink.
Yeah,
Someone made a joke of like Boba Fett popping in and be like, "That's all, folks."
Yeah, it was. I was just about to say it was very Looney Tunes.
Yeah, it was.
What pop quiz, Alex and Mollie Schmodown? Which movie ends like that too?
Which movie? Just which
Oh,
movie in general? What are you talking about?
No,
Revenge
which
of the
Star Wars
Sith.
movie?
Oh,
Is it Revenge of the Sith that
Doesn't
circles in?
It circles in on 3PO,
they
doesn't
all
it?
do that. Well, no, that it does circle in
they?
on 3PO as a like a wipe to another scene, but every single movie does that.
Yeah,
to the
I
credits.
think Alex
Does
is
it?
right. They all like circle wipe in or circle close, I guess is what you can
But
call
none of
it.
them do
Oh.
like a circle down to just black.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah. It
did
was
they
weird.
pause on 3PO's face at the end of Revenge of the Sith?
no,
Or am I just making that up?
there's a meme like people have made
Oh.
a screenshot of that just because it looks kind of silly. It's wiping from him going, "Oh no," down to Padme's funeral.
Oh, got it.
Okay, that must be what I'm thinking of.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of like, I know season 4 is coming, but it was the way it ended just felt very series finale. Like, I mean,
Like if they weren't to do a season 4, it felt like it could be an ending. You're right.
100%. I don't really know. I'm kind of like more curious if season 4 is going to have more play into the larger picture, or if it's still going to kind of, I mean, they set it up to make it seem like it was going to kind of like be its own thing, like season 2, which we know is not, it's not going to just be its own thing. So I don't really know. I'm just kind of like, all right, whatever with it. Just tighten up the storytelling a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
I
felt
think-
a little.
We talked a little bit about this before, but it seems like they're setting this up to be season 4 is going to be what Rangers of the New Republic was going to be. So that it makes a lot more sense hearing Jon Favreau say, "Yeah, season 4 is already written." Well, yeah, if it's just Rangers of the New
Yeah.
Republic and Din is the main character now instead of what they had written before, then yeah, it's been written for a while. So I think season 4 is going to be a mixture of the continuation of Din and Grogu's story and Rangers of the New Republic kind of combined. And then whatever is after season 4 is going to be the continuation and completion of Din and Grogu's journey. But as far as what I want to see in season 4, I want Gideon to be dead and gone forever. I want
Yeah.
him to be dead. No clones survived. No mustache theory.
I was literally about to say the mustache.
Mm-mm.
So
I don't.
done with the mustache theory already.
I don't like it. I don't want it to be true.
We all saw Cassian shave in Andor. Like he did it on screen.
Yeah. So with Gideon dead and gone for good, that paves the way for someone like Ray Sloan to pop up in season 4. Maybe something, a midway point between Gideon and Thrawn would be like a Ray Sloan and the rest of the Shadow Council.
That's kind of where I was
yeah.
leaning is, or go ahead, Alex, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna agree with the Shadow Council. With Gideon gone, like I like him as being kind of our inroad into all of these other mini bosses. If we're gonna keep it like a video game analogy, that Din could work through all the other members of the Shadow Council, working up towards Pelion and Hux and Thrawn. Like I don't think he would know that's what he's doing. He's just like, I'm helping out the New Republic, and I keep fighting all these weird Imperial warlords, not understanding that it's all a Shadow Council or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's not going to be like, I think it's going to be a very heavy tie into the Filoni movie is whatever is going to be happening. Whether that's the Shadow Council, Thrawn, Rangers of the New Republic, or all of it together. I think it'll be like Ahsoka Mando season 4, Filoni movie is kind of just what I'm picturing in my head. The next like 3 big things that are going to be happening before that movie happens or with that movie. But I like the idea of the whole like mini bosses for the video game analogy of the Shadow Council, because we saw them in like, I hope it's not the only time we ever see them, you know, at least for most of them. I would love to see them all in some capacity, and whether that's fighting Din or other characters. I would love Ray Sloan. I mean, we talked about it last week when we covered the last episode. Just the absence of her felt weird, but maybe that they're saving her for something specific, which would be really cool. But it's cool just to kind of think about the path that they have going forward with, now that we know that movie is on the horizon, and somewhere in the future, we can kind of, in a way, map out where it's all headed. And it feels nice. Like, we don't know the destinations. We don't know the stops they're taking, the left turns, the right turns, but we kind of have an idea of where it's all headed. And it feels good, because sometimes we have no idea and it's a little weird having conversations, but now we can have conversations and it makes it a lot more fun. So,
yeah.
I also would not be. Oh, God.
I was just going to say, I think for Ahsoka being like the next big show coming, I'm excited to see where Thrawn's at in the storyline in Ahsoka. So then after Ahsoka's over, we can kind of have a better idea of how Thrawn is going to play into Mando season 4.
Yeah, agreed. Brian?
I also would not be surprised if season 4, if they are going kind of more Mando specific, if he's trying to find Katie O'Brien's character for the Rangers. Like, in the sense of like, oh crap, we had a spy, she got out, we need to find her type thing. Because I personally want to see more of her character.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we'll see more of her in the future. Hopefully, anyway.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Also, now that the season's over, Jake, remember when Gabby did that photo shoot and she said she saw Wookiees?
Oh,
and
yeah.
we were like,
No, it was Mandalorians. One of her friends played one of the Mandalorians.
no, you said Wookiees. I specifically remember Wookiees because you were like, she saw Wookiees. So we all started thinking they were going back to Kashyyyk.
It's probably Acolyte.
Yeah. I just assumed it was either Black Chrysanthemum or...
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe.
I was going to say, now that the season's over, I'm curious if that was Black
possible. I know that she had a friend, I think it was from high school, didn't say a lot, but he played one of the Mandalorians in this season. I don't know if it was part of Axe's group or the Armorer's group, but he was one of the Mandalorians under the helmet, which is a kind of cool little story. So, all right, to finish up here, we'll get to 2 super chats and then we'll wrap it up. This one's from John Pedro. John, thank you so much. I think season 3 was just as strong as season 1 and 2, but Andor spoiled us with acting and writing. So no, Mando doesn't seem as strong as it once did. Interesting take. Thoughts?
I mean, Andor was like god tier television.
Yeah.
So
I think it did. I mean, it did spoil us a little bit, but we talked about this a lot of how Tony Gilroy has said his job has been so easy making Andor because they know the end game, right? They know what Rogue One is already, so they just have to fill in the gaps. And so Tony Gilroy has been saying that writing this show has been pretty easy for him, and they've been able to really dig into the characters and the development of their stories and just like really dig into like the nitty-gritty of everything, which just may not be the case for a show like The Mandalorian. It just seems like it's a lot more surface level. And yeah, after trying to really dive in and dissect everything about Andor going into Mando season 3, we were just trying to do the same thing. And we just kind of had to realize like, it's not the same kind of show.
Yeah.
It's just as fun. It's just as good. You know, it's just a different flavor of Star Wars.
I agree that I think season 3 and season 1 are basically at the same level for me. I don't think Andor spoiled like other Star Wars television for me. That to me sounds like saying Oh, because I watched Breaking Bad. Now I can't ever watch Parks and Recreation again. Like they're both Star Wars shows, but they're very different, and it can be hard, like Molly said, to separate kind of how you absorb them. Because I would never watch Parks and Recreation the way I watch Breaking Bad, but you kind of have to remember that when you're watching Star Wars shows too, and it's like they feel like they should be similar and or the same, and they're similar, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was kind of hard to separate that out and be like, I don't need to dive in as hard as I did with Andor.
Yeah. All right, next one here comes from our very own Gio Ramos. Thank you so much, Gio. Rank the Mando seasons now that season 3 is over.
2, 1, 3.
2, 1, 3. Okay. Okay, so some people are including Boba Fett too, just because it's kind of a spinoff. If you want to throw Boba in there as well.
2, 1, 3 Boba Fett.
Okay.
I think I would say also 2, 1, 3, but if we're putting Boba Fett in there, I'm gonna say 2, 1 Boba Fett 3.
I'm having trouble deciding between 1 and 3. Because 1 definitely, like, just my first reaction to it, like I said earlier, I was like, I'm not sure what this show is. And even rewatching it recently, right before this season, there were some episodes that I was like, I'm just not into this. Whereas season 3, I think I was into every episode and would be on a rewatch, especially now that I know what the finale is. So I think I'm going to go 2, 3, 1 Boba.
I'm the same exact way. 2, 3, 1 Boba. And I love season 1 so much, but just the investment into the Mandalorian side of season 3 is kind of what hooks me. So
I'm just like, 1 didn't give me. I think the biggest reaction from 1 I got was just like, I can't believe I'm seeing Mandalorians flying around on live action screen. Like, that's crazy. And now it's like, that's nothing. It didn't give me like that Keller and Beck moment where that was everything to me.
That's
that
top
was so
tier.
good.
That's top tier for sure. All right. And final question to close out the show. Thank you, Sharzatron. Thank you. It made for fun adventures, but did this season kind of make Mandalorian seem not the brightest, like in the Darwinian way?
I did say on POV that I thought Axe was a little dumb. A little too dumb to be a spy.
Oh, I thought he was for sure blowing up when that plane was going, or that ship was going
Which,
down.
I mean, that would have been. I did too. And when he shot the window out and flew away, I was like, "Oh, that's so smart!" Like
that would have solidified.
I would have just been like, "I guess I'll die. There's no other option. I don't have a jetpack on. What am I going to do?"
Like why? Well, like now I'm thinking about why didn't Captain America do that with his shield when he took?
You know how many times in Star Wars that could have just shoot it out and go out the window. There's so many times. So like I thought he was dying because I was like, there's no way he's going to actually do the right smart thing. And then of all the people we've seen in Star Wars, he's going to be the one that remembers to shoot out the window and fly out. I was like,
if only Holdo had a Mandalorian suit of armor
and
a jetpack and everything, and she could have shot that window out right before pulling off the Holdo maneuver. Just been like, peace out.
I think Mandalorians. I'm not going to say that they're not the brightest, but I think that they're so hard-headed that in certain specific situations that seem very like common sense, they don't make the best decisions, and they're just such like stuck to their ways that it makes them come off that way.
Well, I mean, I agree. Their culture is based around warfare and fighting, and weapons are part of their religion. So if you're so ingrained in like, we solve things through combat, and whoever is strong enough to beat the last person with the sword as our leader, like that's where they go. So they go straight to fighting and combat, which doesn't feel smart. But I think they are smart, but they come across as, we're going to fight over this board game because that's what we were raised to do. Like,
well, when you go to the origins of Mandalorian culture and you look at how almost everything they did was because of the Jedi, it kind of cheapens it a little bit. You're like, okay, they only have Beskar, they only have armor, they only have the Darksaber because they were fighting the Jedi, or they were intimidated by the Jedi. So like, if we want to go way, way back to the creation of Mandalorian culture, it's just because of the Jedi and what they had.
Well, they were conquerors before that, but they upped their game because of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It's also worth mentioning that, keep in mind, we're looking at two different sides of Mandalorians. One group has never stepped foot on Mandalore and are very much still learning the ways of being a Mandalorian, whereas the others have been around doing their thing, we're part of it, etc. So it does depend on which group you're specifically talking about. But yeah, I think it's just their perception of everything and what they kind of come from. So
yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up, everybody. Thank you to everyone who's been watching live. We appreciate you all commenting along. Those of you who sent in all the super chats, cannot thank you enough for leaving those for us. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, to Alex and Mollie for joining us on the show today. Thank you guys a lot for taking some time and joining us, talking more Star Wars, even though you do it multiple times during the day. Why don't you guys go ahead and
we get pretty good at it after all these times.
Absolutely. Even though everyone probably does know where to find you online, just do a quick shout out for yourselves. Anything you guys got going on. Alex, why don't you start us off?
Our YouTube channel is Star Wars Explained. We talk about Star Wars every day. We're ramping up for Star Wars Survivor. The video game comes out next week, and I'm psyched because I loved Fallen Order.
I immediately went like, wait, Survivor's doing a Star Wars theme?
If only.
For a half second, I was like,
that'd be so sick. That'd be so sick.
I would apply and get rejected, just like Wheel of Fortune.
Oh.
Wheel of Fortune.
Oh.
No shade, but all shade.
All the shade. Throw all shade.
Mollie, go ahead.
Yeah, we are about to kick off our Survivor coverage. We're going to be doing a bunch of live streams, playing the game. I think Tuesday nights.
I'll probably play it a lot. I'll probably stream
Alex
it a lot.
is just going to play it every night, all night.
Early on, I'll probably stream it quite a bit. But...
Yeah. But stay tuned for that. We're also going to be covering Visions, which is coming out May 4th. They're going to release the whole Visions Volume 2. We already got to see one episode of that at Celebration, and it was amazing. So we're excited to talk about all the Visions stuff coming.
And
that's awesome.
I've got the big old complete.
And Alex has
video.
some like weird video coming out on the 4th. It's stupid, whatever.
Yeah.
I said to Mollie that I imagined your most excited moment at Celebration was when the timeline came up on the screen.
Genuinely, yes. Oh, yeah. I think I screamed, "It's a timeline!" And I have the timelines book right here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Alex's his big timeline, literally the whole canon timeline comes out every year on May 4th on our channel. So
they're awesome. They're worth the watch for sure.
Guarantee that someone in Star Wars uses that. Guaranteed.
Oh, they've told me.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Let me see. This is going to be, I can figure out how long. Oh my God.
You remember the year when it like erased or whatever happened?
Oh yeah. A couple years ago.
We don't talk about the dark times.
Yeah, I do. The audio file for this one is 1 hour and 34 minutes long. That's by far the longest one I've ever done.
And we might be actually releasing the timeline in chunks going forward. Like on top of the one big video, we're talking about this year putting it out in little chunks of
well, now you have an official timeline to go off of, so you can do it by the eras.
Basically,
doing like now you need timestamps.
Yeah, there you go.
Of every.
Oh, I already do that, but we're talking about saying like let's break out the Clone Wars and do like a more specific. Just here's the Clone Wars. Here's
that's awesome.
This blah blah blah.
Are you gonna do that?
Me? Mm-hmm. No.
Absolutely not.
All right, Brian, what about you? Where can everyone find you?
You want to know what's funny is Twitter just refreshed and Veer's watch, right?
Yeah,
Did you see his?
We know them well.
Yeah, he changed his whole profile to look like the Star Wars books, and the Del Rey logo is his thing, and it has Veer's A Star Wars Story. It looks so real that I had to like go into it to make sure that it wasn't.
Oh yeah, you're right. Oh my god.
Like looks dead on, and everyone in the comments is like, "Wait, is this real or not?" Be Volcino, Twitter and Instagram. A certain point of view with Jake and Molly and Alex whenever he feels like it.
Jill.
Well, yeah, but the people that are here.
Jill's been so busy with work.
I know. I was gonna say Jill's barely around. She's just getting hammered at work.
she's busy at work. She's busy planning a wedding.
Yeah, she's got a lot going on. That's for sure.
Last night was entertaining. I had to put my phone like across the room because it was just like between you and her like, I'm hammered.
All right. Well, you can find me at Qui-Gon Jake, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, 2 N's. Someone else took it before I did. Apocalypse Movies every Tuesday. We have our weekly hangout show. It's at 7 o'clock Pacific. We talk all of the movie news. We play fun games, stuff like that. So make sure you're joining us there. And then again, the Fandalorian Club is going to go a little bit dark for a while until possibly a Visions review or something in the near future. But go and check out everything else we have going on the channel. All of Alex and Mollie's links are in the description if you do not already follow them. So go and check that out again. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. To everyone watching, hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Have a great rest of your week. And we will catch you guys next time. Bye, guys.